This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
You're listening to The Morning Run. I'm Shazana Mokhtar together with Koo Su Chuang. Now, the government is reportedly looking to tighten Malaysian cybersecurity laws and is preparing recommendations for cabinet consideration. This is according to comments by Datuk Abdul Latiff Ahmad, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Special Functions this week.
Yeah, because this is very timely because given the rise in cybersecurity threats, recent estimates suggest that there's been a 56% increase in web threats. Nearly 84% of SMEs have been compromised in some way through cyber threat incidents. And the most recent example was actually the suspension of the CCRIS, the Central Credit Reference Information System Service, to credit reporting agencies by Bank Negara over such concerns.
And on top of that, there is a shortage of cybersecurity experts in the country, with Malaysia said to be about 8,000 experts short in this field, according to CyberSecurity Malaysia. So in response, the government is trying to hire as many as 20,000 cybersecurity knowledge workers by 2025. But the bigger question we're asking today is what will governments and businesses need to do to bolster cybersecurity efforts? So for a better understanding of Malaysia's cybersecurity landscape and what's needed to strengthen our defenses, we speak to Dr. Aswami Ariffin, Senior Vice President at CyberSecurity Malaysia. Now, CyberSecurity Malaysia is, of course, the National Cybersecurity Specialist Agency under the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia. Aswami, good morning. It's good to have you. Can you give us a picture of how cybersecurity incidents have evolved during this pandemic, especially given the increased reliance on the internet and online services?
Good morning to you guys, and thank you for inviting CyberSecurity Malaysia. So with regard to the increase in cases, to the listeners, I would like to give today some of the key pointers or keywords. Yeah. So due to the pandemic COVID-19, the transformation of digitalization has been accelerated. So I would call now from netizen, we are moving towards a digital civilization due to the fourth IR adoption and whatnot. So, that's a good thing about pandemic 19, COVID-19, other than, the bad things, in terms of the acceptance, internet penetration. So we can see that it's getting higher. But at the same time, the cyber criminals, they are taking advantage of it. And they are trying to lure the so-called target, and at the end of the day, the target becomes the victim.
What are the most common types of cybersecurity threats that both corporates and consumers have seen, especially in the pandemic era?
Okay. The common I would see, in the future is ransomware due to the 5G adoption and whatnot. I'm not trying to scare the listeners today, but again, we have to understand that by having bigger bandwidth, the e-transaction, what kind of activities over the cyberspace is getting more easier. That is the objective of the government. But at the end of the day, the bad thing, we have to understand that there's always two sides of a coin. So that's why the policy and the intervention by the government introducing a lot of program is ongoing right now. So I would like to give the audience again one key pointer here. We are opening the floodgate. It's just like driving Ferrari in a super highway, and that's why the government is giving a lot of policy in terms of National Cybersecurity Strategy policy, My Digital policy, and other kind of policy to defend the country altogether. So ransomware is a big thing for the businesses because of the financial motivation of the syndicate or the perpetrators, the syndicate from other countries and whatnot. So we have to be worried on that.
All right. So cyber criminals, they're getting more savvy. And so the government is taking the threat very seriously. At the same time, the government is touted to have one of the best in class national cybersecurity monitoring infrastructures. I think we rank among the top 10 countries with the highest commitment to cybersecurity. Could you give us some, how can this claim be backed up? What's the evidence of this?
I think because it's being done by the independent party, the ITU in the Europe, they have conducted the survey. Back again to our country, the government together with the cooperation of the private sector, what we have done is to systematically, done a thought through a process. So everything it needs to start from the policy. So from the policy, it is important for implementation. As I mentioned earlier, the Prime Minister, he has launched the Malaysian cybersecurity strategy, and so happened, cybersecurity Malaysia has been there for more than 20 years. More or less everything has been implemented, and at the end of the day, what's most important thing, I call it again for the listeners, Cyber Act. We have to take action. It's meaningless if we have a good policy, but there's no action. So far, we are, lending our assistance to the government, private sectors, and CSM. We have a lot of services. We are cyber frontliners, and you can refer to our website to get more information. And we do not rely, 100% on technologies. What I want to, share with the audience today in terms of people, process, and technology, the three components that are very important to train, people so that they have the right skill set to attend to ransomware, because it's getting more sophisticated. The cyber criminals, they are 2 or 3 steps ahead, and this is a challenge to us as the cyber defenders. That's why we introduce something like a service called cyber defense, so that we'll be able to safeguard the country.
Okay.
Back to
Aswami, I want to turn to these the policy that policy recommendations that are being planned to tighten cybersecurity laws. What are the current gaps in the law that you see? I mean, what areas should the government be paying attention to as they plan to tighten these laws?
I think we already have, the law here and there. For example, like Computer Crime Act. But again, due to the trending, the sophistication of the technical itself, because cybersecurity is all about technical. The gist of that is technicality, and we have heard about my identity, data breach, and whatnot. So the government, I think, we need to strengthen in terms of Personal Data Protection Act and other kinds of act to harmonize everything. I think it's timely to introduce Cybersecurity Act, and hopefully, CSM Cybersecurity Malaysia is only a technical specialist. If we have some kind of authority, in terms of providing services as cyber CSI, then most probably we can do some kind of intervention to lower down the cases by 20 to 30%.
That's right. So legislation aside as well, I mean, what about the, obviously the government has talked about there not being enough cybersecurity expertise in the country. You want to attract more people to build careers in this field. Why is it so difficult, and what should be done to bring in the needed talent?
Yeah, it's so difficult because it is very sophisticated, very technical. And I think the government, through the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia, we have introduced what we call Cyber Casa to respond to My Digital Blueprint, whereby we are providing a lot of trainings to the professional if some of them are being affected, due to COVID-19 being retrenched and whatnot. So we are offering them to be trained by Cybersecurity Malaysia, and at the same time we are doing a lot of awareness through our website, cyber safety awareness for everyone. I think human as the weakest link, we have to attend to the human so that we can upskill the human. So people is very important, even though we have a good process, good technology, but at the end of the day, human as the weakest link, we have to strengthen the human.
All right.
Which is people itself.
Okay, Aswami, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. That was Dr. Aswami Ariffin, Senior Vice President at CyberSecurity Malaysia, talking to us about how cybersecurity defenses can be strengthened in Malaysia, including through just giving more awareness and, creating more people who are experts in this particular field.
I mean, laws are one thing, but you need people to, basically it's a people thing, right? Remember a few months ago when Colonial, the pipeline Bitcoin in America got hacked in fact, they were held to ransom by some hackers, and I think they wanted $4.4 million in Bitcoin, which in fact Colonial paid by paying 75 Bitcoin. You know what happened then? The FBI came in, hacked the hackers' dark side wallet, got $2.3 million back. So what they basically did was they just stopped the access to the wallet. And they took out the Bitcoin from the hacker's wallet and put it back into their own pockets and then gave it back to Colonial, right? So, you need to have people that smart enough to fight the smart guys, right? If you don't have those smart guys, then how can you need criminals to fight criminals now, you know what I'm saying, right? It's a bit like that movie with Leo DiCaprio. Remember, Catch Me If You Can, right? So
Catch
the hacker,
Me If You Can?
Yeah.
Wasn't that about the pilot? Yes.
Yeah, well,
okay.
yeah, basically, you need thieves to handle thieves. Do you know what I mean?
That was your point. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I agree. We do need to build up our expertise. If we want to take a step back, though, it really also goes back to the education system, right? Are we emphasizing these kinds of areas in what we teach our children? Are we teaching them coding? Are we teaching them what cyber skills? So we can start there as well in order to build that pool of talent moving forward into the future. Another thing that was interesting that he mentioned, I felt, was that he thinks cybersecurity Malaysia could have enforcement capabilities. That's something he's hoping the government is considering. I thought that was quite interesting. I'd be curious to see if that's one of the policy recommendations the government is looking at. BFM 89.9.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.